Hey guys, hopefully you like that pour. Nice beautiful color on this Berliner Weisse. That's my first ever sour beer, kettle sour beer, and well, non-intentional sour beer. Intentionally sour beer, I'm sorry. Had a couple ciders that were soured by natural yeast. But this one, intentionally soured using a kombucha scoby. I also did something a little bit unexpected by making it more kombucha-like by adding loose tea into the mash. So the mash, this was a 1 gallon batch. I added, I believe it was either Pilsner or 2-row, 50-50 with white wheat. I then used 15 grams of loose tea, which is what I would normally use for a 1 gallon batch of kombucha. And it was a blend of 3 different teas. About 6 grams each of white and green tea, and then about 3 to 4 grams of black tea. And what I ended up doing was I mashed it at about 148 to 150 for about an hour. Pulled the bag out, let it drain. I believe I used the Anuva precision cooker, a sous vide, to keep the temperature. I then ramped it up to about 168, drained it, then put it outside, let it cool, and then I went ahead and added lactic acid from the 5.2 pH that I had, 5.2, 5.3, down to 4.5, and I let that sit until it hit about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I put it into my glass jar, and then added the scoby from my typical kombucha, my sugar kombuchas. There are different types of scobies. One that really likes honey called a June scoby, and then there's other ones that are just like a typical kombucha, which is what I use. It's more hearty, can definitely eat maltose and things along those lines. This beer came in pre-fermentation at like a 10:35, and then after the scoby took place and I waited about 7 to 10 days, it did take a lot longer for it to acidify than using, say, like lactobacillus from Good Belly or whatever. And I kept trying it after about every 4 to 5 days. I tried it every day thereafter, and I got down to about 3.6, 3.7 pH, which it had a nice tartness. It tasted just like one of my kombuchas. So it's been several days. It's Saturday morning. I think I made this on Sunday, and I dropped the pH down to 4.5. And I added the scoby. The scoby for a normal batch of kombucha usually goes on the top, and it'll sit there and form another skin, another scoby. With the beer, it has not. With kombucha, it's usually just tea with regular sugar. I use turbinado sugar, and this scoby will form another one, have a nice tart flavor. This one smells like kombucha. It doesn't smell like beer pretty much at all. So I went from 4.5 with the lactic acid. I mashed at around 5.5. I didn't adjust it at all. And then I adjusted it down to 4.5, and now it's sitting at 3.71. And I tasted it. It tastes like kombucha. So I don't want to go with that much more tart. Plus, if you boil, you will get a little bit more. I'm guessing it'll brighten up because you are boiling off some of the water, so you'll get more of the acetobacter flavor. So I'm going to also bitter with Czech Saaz, and then also do a small flame out addition. But that's basically about it. So I'm gonna go boil and see what the final gravity is. So I pulled it, put it into my pot, my kettle, set it to a boil, added Saaz, some Czech Saaz for a bittering, and then I also added a little bit for flame out, and then let it cool overnight and pitched USO 5. It went down to a 10.06, so about 3.4%, but with 10.06 it's very thin. There was almost no malt character. So instead of just drinking a plain thin beer, we had a bunch of old strawberries that the kids didn't eat, like half of not a pint, but a quart. And so I guess a pint of strawberries that are starting to get a little not so pretty looking. Cut those up into chunks and put them into a hop sack and threw them into the keg. So right now it's sitting on strawberries, and you can see the color. It's freaking gorgeous. It's like almost like a ruby grapefruit type of look. So the smell, the head died off a little bit, as you can see from the picture of the pouring. Nice high carbonation, little streaming bubbles, a little cloudy from all the wheat. Smells like sweet strawberries. It doesn't smell like a fresh strawberry, but it does smell like some sort of residual strawberry from whenever I used to use strawberries and primary. Kind of chews them all up and you don't really get them that much. This is a little bit more than that. So, cheers. Let's see what it tastes like. Oh wow, strawberries. Then you get that little tartness. Not tart, not like a sour beer, or stringency, tart, thin. And then you get that malt, almost like, I think this is Pilsner. Because you get like a nice drying Pilsner, sweet malt. But yet, it pulls on your palate a little bit. Makes it a little dry. Yeah, you mostly get tart strawberry. Then it kind of leads to like a fruitiness with where the strawberries kind of go from tart to almost like a semi-sweet. And then it just lends itself to a nice overall kombucha type of taste where it's not like vinegar, because now you have the malt backbone coming through. It was a very light beer when I first made it, very light. It was just wheat and Pilsner. I'm guessing Pilsner. I'll put a little link, down here, tell you what the recipe is. But coming across great. The only problem with this is that it came out awesome. I only have a gallon of it, so 4 more of these, and it's pretty much gone. So 6 to 7 pints. But a great first attempt. The only thing I would say that I would probably do a little bit differently is maybe add a little bit more sugar, or add sugar to it, like terminato sugar, to the mash, to the wort, before I put the scoby in, because the scoby will eat up that simple sugar, leave the malty backbone behind, because it did drop about 2 to 3 gravity points, 1035, 1032, and then it finished at 1006. So I'd rather have the scoby eat all the simple sugars of terminato or unprocessed organic sugar, and then leave and maybe mash a little higher, like 1054, 1056. Honestly, the color is awesome. It's not tart, it's not sour, it's just crisp, little maltiness. Strawberries come out. The tea, honestly, I didn't mention the tea, but the tea adds like this little bit of coating on top of your tongue. It wasn't there when I first made it, but it's been sitting in the keg, and it adds this like kombucha, esque flavor, and then you get like the malty beer taste, Pilsner taste. So it's a good blend of both. Let me tell you, I actually went ahead and tried to make a mash out of kombucha that was finished. So I took kombucha, I made kombucha, 15 grams, same recipe, in water, added the scoby with the sugar, fermented down, got to 3.5 pH, added that into the white wheat and the Pilsner, and due to the pH or something, dude, it turned into sludge. It was nasty. It looked like snot. I couldn't even wring it out of the bag. It was nasty. It started off fine. After about 20-30 minutes, I was like, it looks a little viscous. And then all of a sudden it turned to like this glue. It was gross. I had one other beer that happened to me, and it was when I used too much Carafa 2 in a bock, and It just, with no husk, no nothing. I don't know what happened with that thing, but it resembled like pudding. It was really gross. This, before then, I just threw it away. I started off new. I added the tea to the mash. Came out awesome. Definitely want you guys to try this. Add tea to your mash. Instead of souring it with Pilsner malt or uncrushed malt and then adding good belly, try a scoby. Try something else. Enjoy. Get weird. Try something new. Don't leave a recipe, by itself. Try it the first time, then change it up. Cheers.